Welcome to episode 24 of The Model Philosopher. In this episode, I will be talking to prop artist, modeller and creator Evi Van Der Vorst about film, texture, recreating and a lot more. I'll also be presenting a short essay calling for a return to respecting authorship in the hobby. But let's start with Evi. Welcome, Evi Van Der Vorst, to The Model Philosopher. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Now, we met quite recently for the first time at a Scale Model Challenge in October.
Yes, we did.
And you were there displaying your work. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and what you do?
Okay, so yeah, I'm a scenic painter, actually. I'm doing scale models now for 5 years, I think. But most of the time, I'm doing scenic painting and model making. I think I got into modeling. I did Warhammer when I was younger. I was really into painting the figures, but not into playing the game. And I come from a really small town near Eindhoven. And I grew up with, there's this parade every year in my hometown, and it's called Brabantse Dag. It's like a historical, cultural parade. And every year there's like one team and all the groups. I think there are like 16 to 20 groups. They have to make parade float with a distinct team. And I think because I've been working on that kind of stuff since I was young, playing like a theater on the parade float, or right now building and painting the parade floats, I was always like really interested in building and making stuff. And also when I was younger, I drew a lot. So I was always drawing things. And my dad, he was into models. He made a lot of cars, model airplanes, as I remember. And every week we rented DVDs or videotapes. And every week he picked one for me and I picked one for myself. The films he picked for me, I think, also defined my taste in film, I guess. And for the one that I can remember so vividly is the War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. And when I saw that movie with aliens and science fiction, and I was so captivated by it because of the design of the aliens and the spaceships, and also with like Pirates of the Caribbean, I was really interested in that. There was like a behind the scenes DVD with it, and I was so captivated about the fact that they built these sets and had these like prosthetics, and I was like, damn, I wish there was like a place around in my city or in the Netherlands to do that kind of stuff. But for me, it was like they only do these things in America, and that seemed so far away. And then when I finished school, I still was drawing a lot and I wanted to become a tattoo artist. But during that period, I found out that I wasn't really a designer. I was more an imitator. So I was really good at like redrawing pictures, but not so good at coming up with my own images, I guess. That's why I turned away a bit from the tattooing, and then I got into school at St. Lucas. It's a school, it's about craftsmanship. So in this first year, you get taught about paint, about ceramics, about leather, and textiles. So you have like a base of all these kinds of craftsmanship. And then I chose painting. So I was like taught very classic with wood imitation, marble imitation, gilding, restoration. And I love that school. the school was amazing. But I felt like it was a bit old-fashioned, and I thought things could go a little bit more fast-paced. And then I did an internship at Efteling. I don't know if you know that, but it's a Dutch theme park. It's a really big theme park. And I did my internship there, and for me, it was like this whole new area opened up for me, and it felt like a bit like the behind the scenes of movies, but then for theme parks.
It's a kind of show business still, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not very many people know that there are people actually making that stuff. So there's a lot of mold making involved, and a lot of techniques, also imitation. You paint on flat surfaces or you paint on 3D models. It could be animatronics. There's a lot of different disciplines coming together to create this kind of work. And after that internship, I was like, I want to work there. I want to do this. But unfortunately, I couldn't get in at Efteling. And then I think a few months later, there's another company one city away from my hometown, and they actually work for theme parks all around the world to create different kind of projects. And at that company, I worked on stuff for Nickelodeon, for Disneyland Paris, for a Batman roller coaster, and my last project was in America. We did a ride for Universal, and I was like blown away by how many places I went to. And if I can do this for theme parks, I must be able to do this for film. So that's why I decided to start becoming a freelancer last year. And now I'm pursuing, like a new path, more into film, but also more into theater. I like to combine all these different elements so I don't have to do the same thing every day.
The college you went to and the theme park work, by the sound of it, it sounds like you were doing some different skills and different techniques all the time. It wasn't one thing you were doing lots of different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's given you a good start in feeling like you can tackle anything, that if you don't know how to do something, you can find out and you can do it?
Yeah, definitely. And also because of that job, I got to know so many talented people that excelled in all these different kinds of disciplines. So if I can do it, I probably know someone that can help me with it. And also in that industry, all the products you are using are not for that kind of thing you're doing. So you have to invent new methods to use different kind of materials that are not purposed for the kind of purpose we are using it for. So it's very creative.
When you say you're a scenic painter, do you just do physical painting, or do you do digital work as well? Or
no, I only do physical painting.
Okay, is there still a lot of requirement then for physical props and painting and things in film?
Well, in theme parks, there are a lot of requirements around safety. Everything has to be safe for visitors. It has to be fire safe. So a lot of the times we can use 3D printing because it's not fire safe. And then you have to make it in an fiberglass or resin type of material. And that was also one of my the things I had to do is find out which kind of paint fit with the kind of material I was using, and make sure it would stay that way for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, some paint doesn't play well with some materials, does it?
No, and through that type of experimenting, I am now able to find a paint for every type of material or purpose that we have to use in the industry. So
I guess then you get used to working with a lot of different materials as well. So the more experience you have with different materials, the
Definitely.
easier it is to pick the right one for each thing.
Yeah, definitely.
You also make your own miniatures. And how did you get into that?
So I think I was introduced to the Skill Model Challenge convention by some friends. I think it was in 2018 or 19. And I always had an interest in miniatures, but I never found a way to like make something, or I never found the inspiration that I needed to start making miniatures. And then I went to Skill Model Challenge and um, I saw like a figurine or like a miniature of it in a sewer, and I was like, this is pretty cool, but I would love to make one for myself. And I had all these like figurines at my house. I had Demogorgons, and I also had the It figurine, and it had extra heads. So I was like, maybe I can use these extra heads to repurpose them in a miniature. So at my old job, I got some scrap material and some stuff that was laying around, and I started building the sewer with the It face coming out. And um, yeah, and then it was so much fun painting it because it was not for a client, it was just for me. So I could do how I wanted to do it. And I didn't have a lot of space in the place I was living when I made that. So I wasn't able to make a lot of miniatures. And now I do have the space. So that makes it a lot easier to make more, I guess.
Your stuff is all a kind of similar size, isn't it? It looks like, from memory, about maybe 15 to 20 centimeters square, something like that.
Yeah.
So not huge things, but not
Yeah.
tiny things.
No. But yeah, I didn't have a room for myself, and there were cats walking around, so yeah, it wasn't safe.
The film ones, you do a few based on films I've seen. They tend to be horror films. What is it about that kind of film that makes you want to make some miniatures?
Well, I made that It one because I had the figurine, and then I think it was on Instagram I started following this woman, and on Instagram she's called Monstrous. I don't know if you know her, but she actually makes horror themed miniatures. So I just was really inspired by her work, and I don't know, I think I just like really like horror movies since I was younger as well. So I think because I like these kind of movies, this was the first like genre I was going into, and I was just really interested in recreating these little scenes that I enjoyed watching the movie, and then I could display them at my house as a memory, I guess.
Which ones have you done?
I have made an It one. I made the Yellow Temple of Midsommar, and then after these two, I'm a big fan of Stanley Kubrick and a big fan of The Shining. It's one of my favorite movies, and I don't know why. I think I really like green and yellow, but the colors, the Art Deco style bedroom, I was so mesmerized by that picture, and I was like, I wanna I wanna have the bedroom. So I started building it.
It's the bathroom where I can't remember the boy's name. He comes into the bathroom and there's the woman.
Danny.
Yeah, Danny, that's it. And there's the spirit, ghost, whatever of the former guest in the bath. That's
Yeah.
I think everybody that sees that film relatively young, I know I did, that sticks with you. That one scene is absolutely the most terrifying thing in the film. Do you think that's why? Do you think it's because it's a really strong image?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it was not particularly the scene, but just the interior design of the bedroom that was
It's the set, isn't it? I mean,
kept hanging on to me. Yeah.
for people that haven't seen it, Danny and the woman aren't in your miniature at all. It's just the bathroom.
No. Yeah. Yeah, I was talking about with people on the scale model challenge, like, why don't you put figurines in your miniatures? And I don't. We had a whole discussion about it, but I don't like. I also don't like people in photos. Like, I don't like taking photos and having people in there. So maybe that's why I don't want to put them in my miniatures as well. But I'm also not a sculptor, and then I'm finding the right the right figurine for the model. It seems like a drag to me.
When I was at art school, I did a series of paintings of rooms, and I didn't put anybody in the rooms. And my tutor said, "Your work, why do you always do figurative work?" I said, "Well, it isn't. There isn't a figure in it." But they said that if a figure is referenced in something, if there's something in the painting which is sort of, like a room or a chair or something made by people somewhere where people live, then it's figurative. And I think there's kind of a thing where not having a figure in the work draws people into it, if you see what I mean, that they become the figure in the work, whereas having someone in it keeps them out because they're observing a person rather than being in the space.
It's a very interesting thing to think about, yeah. But also, I'm really interested in aging as well, or textures, and I feel like textures tell a story without having to be there to just of like people to make that story, because especially on doors or facades, you can see because something has broken off or people touch a handle, the door gets darker or greasy on that spot, and without having people in there, you can like find a story in there because something has changed during that period of time.
Do you think having people within them would distract from that?
Yeah, because I think without people, it's already so beautiful. And maybe without the people, you can actually focus on the things surrounding them.
I bet when you go on holiday, all your photos when you come home are of interesting doors and walls and things like that.
Yep. I'm actually trying to make. I just bought a new laptop, and that's the thing I'm going to do next. Is I really want to categorize all the textures I'm finding on wherever I am. So when I want to do like an old aging of like a metal aging with rust, I just have to open a map with metal, and then I can find all these pictures or moss or brickwork. I don't know.
Sounds suspiciously like database work.
Yeah. Yeah, but for me, it's like free inspiration.
Yeah. Well, also, once you open your eyes to these textures and things, they're everywhere you go, and you're constantly seeing new and interesting things. Your latest work is these things, isn't it? You're doing building facades now and modeling these textures yourself. What sort of scale are they in?
I don't know. Well, this is so stupid, but I had this like MDF panel.
Yeah.
It was just lying around, and I thought it was perfect. It's perfect for a floor, so that's my size I'm gonna work in. And then I did measure it out with I think I printed the facade on A4 and then started working from there. And then I liked the size of the floor, so I made new panels in the same size. So you have this now. I have this I don't know what it's called in English, but now I think it looks great when you have the same sizes repeating when you want to display them together.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. With the comparisons kind of subconscious and easier when all of them are the same size. They look more like they belong together.
Yeah. So now it's more like a 3-part display.
Do you compress the depth of field at all? Do you make kind of foreshortened details, or do you keep them fully three-dimensional?
It depends on how much depth there is in the facade, but I try to not make them as wide because, as well, for displaying, it's better to have them more flat, I guess. And also, it's easier to make the back more aesthetically pleasing if everything is just like nice and flat and
I think they're almost
compressed.
like three-dimensional photographs then, because they've got that aspect of a photograph as well, haven't they? They're kind of a portrait shape.
Yeah, I have them standing here. What I like, especially what I like about like this one, the one with the stairs, that these stairs are like coming out of the model.
You're
so
breaking the frame.
You're not like cutting them off.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I really liked about this one. But what drew me to these types of models was especially like in my work, there are so many textures I would love to make, but I'm not able to make because a client doesn't want something like that. And I was like, I would love to recreate these textures or colors or materials, but then doing them on a one-to-one scale, I don't have the space to do that. So it was like, if I can do this in miniature, I can like do something for myself because I love recreating these textures. And then also I'm learning to build these things myself because I never built like my own miniatures from scratch before. So it's also for me a learning curve to teach myself more about building miniatures.
I think it's a lot of people would consider it quite brave to jump straight into scratch building something rather than building from a kit. But considering the background you've come from, where everything is made from scratch, that something needs to become real so you can put it in the theme park or whatever, and you have to find out how to do it. I guess it's not that much of a leap to make scratch miniatures after making scratch full-size things.
No, and I saw a lot of these pre-made facades on the Skill Model Challenge convention, and I was like, oh, I would love to paint these facades, but to me, they are not like, I don't have a personal connection with these things.
Yeah.
So I could do that for fun. And then I was like, yeah, I can also just buy all the materials here to build them myself. And I have tons of photos on my phone that I would love to recreate. Then why wouldn't I try to do it? And I did.
Well, painting's only one way to make the texture anyway. If you're making it yourself, you can model the texture before you paint it as well.
Yeah, and that's also it was so fun learning to make the bricks. But what I do is I do measure out how many bricks there are, and I am that kind of person that I want it to be like it can be perfect because it's handmade, but I want it to be damn near perfect.
It's quite funny in scale modeling. I don't know if you're aware of the phrase. You've probably come across it before. We have what they call rivet counters, people that count every rivet on a tank or a train or something. You're a brick counter. You count every brick in the facade.
Yeah. Yeah, but there has to be, especially when you like building it from scratch, I think you have to like measure and yeah, for me it's pretty fun to make it near perfect. I get a good kick out of it.
I think one of the things that makes a model convincing when it's scratch built is that everything's properly proportioned. And if you don't measure things and if you don't check them, it's very easy for something to go wrong and the eye can kind of see it then.
Yeah, and it's like I think, a gut feeling thing that um, I have to keep working on it until my gut says like, yes, this is good now.
Do you have a favorite texture to work with?
I think whew, I like bricks. I like wood.
Mm.
And yeah, like I don't know, just like stucco walls, I guess. Like just painted is it stucco? I don't know what is
Yeah, stuccos.
plaster?
Yeah, yeah.
Plastered plastered walls that have like this like dripping and patches that are opening up, and yeah, I just get so fascinated by it. I don't know. But I also find it very interesting to find the right color tones, and like when you put a color down and you put a color over it, the I find it very interesting to recreate those layered colors in this world I'm building and making it work.
Do you have any favorite miniaturists or people whose work you admire?
Yeah, I was talking about this woman. She's called Monstrous on Instagram. I think that was the first miniature artist that I saw that was like, okay, I love this. And there's also an Instagram called The Parlor Workshop, and she does more like 3D sculpting. I don't know if you know, like in the tattoo world, you have these like tattooed women, but she sculpts them as 3D objects. But that type of style of tattooing, she makes them, but then in 3D, but she also does these um, like puppets and like larger 3D scale models or 3D models with um, also themes that I'm very interested in, like pop culture references and stuff. And what led me to these kind of models, he's also on Instagram. His account is called What the Hell, and his name is Ryan Thomas Monahan. And he takes these things. He's very has these American things like uh, metro stations or like billboards, but he takes like this piece out of the metro station, and I don't know, in the way he scaled it and made all these like the railing or the steps and the textures he made. I was blown away by how much detail there was in there, but also how like realistic and good it looked. And yeah, I think all these things together create my work as well.
We spoke earlier about films. I know you've got some favorite directors. Who particularly inspires you in film?
I have a lot. um, well, like Stanley Kubrick, and I feel like I have a director, an all-time director, and like a director that is putting out stuff now. And I think Stanley Kubrick and Wes Anderson,
Mm.
for me, not the style of the storytelling, but the way they film or the way they frame stuff is feels very the same thing to me. And I like they have this Art Deco style, and I like the colors they use. And I feel like every frame of a Kubrick film or an Anderson film, it's like a painting you could look at for hours. And then like a newer director, yeah, it's not newer, but Yorgos Lanthimos.
Mm.
I don't know if you know any of his films, but especially the film Poor Things.
Oh, that's fantastic, that film.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's one of the most visually interesting films in the last 10 years.
Well, that film, I saw that film in cinema and I cried at the end. And I cycled home, woke up my boyfriend. I was like, okay, I'm gonna start freelancing now because what I saw in this film, there is still a space for me to create these kind of sets because it was a long time ago that actually saw the immersiveness in set building um, as they did in this movie. I was blown away. And then at the end of the film, they showed details from all the sets and the set dressing um, as the film was ending. And yeah, I never saw a director in any film like give so much credit to the things I am doing as well. So
Yeah, in most films, it's the unsung people in the background, isn't it? That it's the director's vision, and who makes it isn't someone that really gets noticed. But there are some directors who really do. I think Wes Anderson's another one who really appreciates the skill of
yeah.
people that make these things.
Yeah, and what I also like in Wes Anderson films and also at the Poor Things film is that they used miniatures but also like full sets, and I like that they like combine these two worlds or use like a miniature in front of a full scale set to or behind it um
For
to
perspective.
create this, yeah, or create an image that um, you could do it in CGI or in special effects, but I just appreciate it more when people want to do it analog.
I really like the way some people as well use. I think it was you could see it in Poor Things, but definitely in Wes Anderson. Is the way that he doesn't try to make miniatures look like. Well, how can I put it? He wants the miniatures to look like miniatures, so you're seeing a miniature, but at the same time you're thinking it's the full
Yeah.
size thing. But he kind of makes a feature of the fact it's a miniature rather than trying to hide it.
Yeah, and then I go to another of my favorite directors, as Guillermo del Toro, especially in his stop motion film with Pinocchio. He wanted to show that things were handmade and sometimes slowed down um, the movement of the puppet so you could see it was actually like hand posed. And yeah, I just love and also when I saw Frankenstein, I just love when a director is so infatuated by the people that are making these sets for him. And yeah, he's also a director that loves that kind of stuff.
Have you seen his very old film Kronos?
I don't I haven't seen it. No. No, but it's on the list.
You can see that his sort of respect for it and love for it goes right back to that. That film's full of wonderful miniatures and sets and costumes, and it's obviously something he's always appreciated a great deal.
Yeah, I'm gonna. It's going on my watch list.
it's good fun. Well, fun might not be the right word. It's a good film.
Okay. And then I have Tim Burton on my list, Quentin Tarantino, Edgar Wright, Ari Aster, Robert Eggers, and Damien Chazelle. I'm also really into musicals as well.
Right? Why is that?
Especially in La La Land or in Whiplash, I love when there's music incorporated into the movie, but then you can also see it in Baby Driver from Edgar Wright when they incorporated movement with the music that is playing. I don't know. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
It's very immersive when they do that. It I don't know how, but it pulls you in just a little bit more, as long as it's done well. If it's not done well, it kind of pushes you out.
Yeah, there's this scene in Baby Driver, and then on the beach he shifts his stick, and yeah, I think it's genius. I love it.
Do you know David Horrigan?
David Hurrigan?
Yeah, he's Australian. He makes I'll send you a link later. He makes models of buildings from his city where he lives in Australia. I can't remember if it's Sydney or Melbourne, but a lot of them are like old music venues that have been closed down or things like that. But he's really beautiful work. I think you'd like the textures and everything else that he does.
Okay.
And there's Mylene Eats Zombies, I think she's called, on Instagram. I'll look that one up. But she does the same thing but makes them out of card with an extra layer of difficulty.
Okay.
Do you do anything else other than miniatures to sort of express your ideas?
Well, I do oil paintings as well. Like I said, when I was younger, I drew a lot, and like the fascinating thing is that when I paint oil paintings, I love painting people. So
Right.
that's that's a way to express myself. When I was younger, I just drew a lot of pictures of people. I love like drawing or painting faces and eyes, and I didn't have a lot of time to do it after work. And sometimes, because I'm working with paint all the time, I sometimes don't want to paint.
Mm.
And but I love to do oil paints, and also I'm very into craft, so now and then I'll just try to find a workshop or a course to teach me something new. So I think it was a month ago I did a stained glass course, and I'm really into like painting on glass as well. Or I did a course or a workshop of that. But then my other hobbies are just going to the cinema.
Well, that's research, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's try. That's a lot of different creative pursuits. It doesn't surprise me. I think if you're a creative person, you're always looking for outlets, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think because um, I'm doing so much of all these creative things in my work that sometimes I want to do non-creative things as well.
Well, that's when you could do a spreadsheet.
Yeah, but I do love that I'm not in an office every day, and I can make a living working with my hands. It's bizarre.
It's a very fortunate position to be in.
Yeah, I'm very thankful every day.
What do you think our miniatures say about us? What do you think? Which part of us do you think comes out when we make these things?
Yeah, for me personally, it's like a form of expression. I also think it's about replication. I think we are interested in like recreating something, for me at least. And I was listening to one of your first podcasts, and you were saying that when you make things smaller, it's more easier to appreciate the craft, or the I can come up the word. Maybe you could help me.
I say a lot of things on the podcast and I don't remember them later. Maybe it's easier to appreciate the characteristics of something when you can see it smaller.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, or the shape of an object, or I think you were talking about a car. When you make it smaller, you appreciate its design. That was the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
You appreciate its design more because it's smaller. It's easier to appreciate it.
I think it's very close to what you're saying about replication. I think you can understand it more rather than just appreciate the design. You can look at a shape and like a car and something like that and think, oh, that's pretty, it's got nice lines or what have you. But you can really only appreciate it thoroughly if you kind of get hands on with it. Either you make a model of it or perhaps if you're someone that works on cars and you're around cars all the time. And for you, the same with the film sets, maybe that in recreating the set, you can appreciate more how well designed it was and how well conceived it was.
Yeah, and I think it's also about honing this type of skill, or like you can see something that you love, and then I think I appreciate it even more if I hone the skill of recreating it and then also owning it then, because now it's yours.
That's really interesting because it's a way to own something that someone else has made, in a way that, it's a way to
Yeah.
literally recreate it for yourself.
Yeah, it's a very interesting concept.
Why do you think we make little things? What is it that's so fascinating about miniature stuff?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, maybe because it's smaller. Um, yeah. Also, for me, I'm not really good at building large things. I'm not so good with a saw, or and when I would love to build a house, but I'm not able to do that. And then I am able to do that when I make it smaller. It becomes easier to handle, I guess.
It's more achievable, isn't it? It's something you can envisage yourself being
Yeah,
able to complete. It's not quite so scary as a full house.
yeah. And also, yeah, again, the replicating. And for me, what I really like to do is replicate colors. So when I see something, I'm able to mix all these colors together, because every color I use in my miniatures, none of the colors are from the bottle. I mix everything.
Yeah.
And I find I can have so much fun of mixing all these colors and then getting it to the right shade. Yeah, I enjoy that process.
I think a lot of it is a couple of people I spoke to said that making miniature things is about having control over your life. I think it's not so much that. I think it's maybe doing something that's entirely within your own control, that you don't need to rely on someone else to do it with you. You can just do it
Yeah,
yourself. And it's something you can complete by yourself and for yourself.
yeah, I think that's very interesting, because especially in my job, I have to rely on so many factors and so many people and so many skills, that everything I do in my work life, I can do that on my own or finish the whole project. But when I'm at home with my models, I can do everything myself, and I don't have to. I can ask people for help, uh, but I don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Well, I'll certainly be interested to see what listeners think. So if anyone out there has got any ideas, do send us an email. What's next for you? What's your next project?
So this last skill model challenge, I had a very interesting conversation, because for me, I find it quite hard to find new subjects to make stuff about. And I had this very interesting conversation with a man who was telling me, like, to make something new, so to not replicate like a building or a picture, you have to find in yourself, what do you love the most? And when you know what you love the most, then you can like gather all these types of inspiration pictures of, and put that together to create something that you love. And if you go from there, it's so much easier to create, because what you're making, you're loving it already.
I think that's really interesting because a lot of times we start with the image that we want to create, and then we create the image. And I think if you've got maybe something to say, either a point to make or a story to tell or something like that, you can start with the idea and then find the images that fit the idea.
Yeah. So I'm still figuring out, like on an art perspective, what I want to do next, but I do got the pizza, the Surfer Boy pizza van from Stranger Things.
Great.
And I want to make like a diorama with it, and maybe eventually buy another one and mirror it as an upside down
Oh, that's a great
diorama
idea.
as well.
Yeah, so you have like a plane in the middle and one above and one below, kind of, with the two together
Yeah,
flipped. Yeah.
and maybe make something that I can flip the thing around. I don't know. I'm currently obsessed with Stranger Things, so especially with the new season coming out.
Yeah, I was going to say with the new season, it's hard not to be, isn't
Yeah.
it?
So I think that, and I also bought these miniature film posters, and I would love to do something with that as well in a miniature, but I'm not sure which direction it's going to go.
All right. Well, I really look forward to seeing it, whichever way you go. And I really want to thank you for coming on and talking to us today about your work.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for asking me.
I really enjoyed talking to Evi, and seeing her and her work at Scale Model Challenge this year really was a breath of fresh air. Her fearless can-do attitude to new challenges and genres and materials is something scale modelers could learn a lot from, I think. I know I could. I'm really looking forward to seeing Evi again this year at Scale Model Challenge and seeing more of her work. At this point in the show, I would like to talk about a subject that has been ruminating away in the background in my mind and I think in the community. That is, the concepts of authorship and ownership in modelling and content produced from that modelling. For a long time, I think we have slid into a way of looking at modelling, at who makes content, what we can consume, and how we consume it that is unhealthy, and I think we need a course correction. Let's start with what the hell I'm talking about. When we make something, we are what is commonly known in the arts as the author. We have created something, we conceived it, we made it, we presented it as our own unique and personal creation. We authored it. I think we can all recognise this pretty easily, and it's a concept I think the vast majority of us recognise and accept. I dare not say all of us, because this is after all modelling, and there are always a handful who disagree with anything. You could argue, and I often do, that many modellers are unoriginal, obvious, and derivative, but that doesn't mean they're not the author of their own work. Whether or not they are paid to produce this work, it is their possession. They own it. Morally, in the sense that they created it and it is their creation, and legally, recognised in international copyright law as a work of physical artistic creation created in their own time for their own purposes. Again, this is not a concept most people would take issue with, excepting perhaps cases where someone has directly copied the work of another. Now let's talk about content. Although this is a new word, it's not a new concept. Content in the modern sense is the creation of digital work, usually on the internet. This is a new creation, a poster or audio or visual file created by the author. This is usually of their own creation, whether it's a rant about parking, a picture of their model, or an interminable polka they wrote with their mate Dave on the accordion. When an author work is shared by themselves or by others on a broadcast medium such as a book, radio, TV, or social media, it becomes content. This is where the problem starts. As societies that consume via the internet, we have grown used to finding whatever we want via a web search or even just looking in likely internet places. Gone are the days of buying a book for information, using a library, or even seeking others out as our primary resources. These personal conversations and inquiries, especially in the modelling world, have moved online, and for some, it's still the same. For others, It's no different now to ask a person or question online or to ask Google. And they have the same respect and attachment to both, or rather the same detachment. For many people, other people are a form of Google search now. This detachment has robbed people's work of its true value as authored content. To a lot of people in the hobby now, content only exists for them to consume. And 25 to 30 years of this content being free has led to them not only thinking it should be free, but in some cases thinking they deserve to have it for free or for next to free. We see this in the way some people aggregate others' content to fill their own pages and drive engagement. Aggregation isn't a bad thing per se, but when these individuals or pages do it while stripping the name of the author from them, as they often do, they are stealing the work. They don't claim it as their own, but they deny the author not only the recognition, but the opportunity to connect with people through their work, and in some cases to earn a living from their work that they authored and presented to the world. They often see the excuse of artist unknown, but this is mendacious at best. It is extremely rare to come across work with no attribution outside of these disingenuous aggregators. Whenever we do come across model content, it is always either an author's own page or posted by them on a group. The author is known, and it is a choice to separate them from their work. Even if a work is unattributed, a Google image search will find it. There really is no excuse, and sharing it without attributing it is incredibly disrespectful to the author and to all of us as authors. The phenomenon also rears its head in recasts. Recasts exist because the naive, who are forgivable when they don't know, the willfully ignorant, who choose not to know, and the selfish who know but feel the world owes them miniatures at less than what it costs to develop and produce them. In all cases, the modeler that buys them isn't thinking of the author or the creator. The item is reduced to a commodity, and one they just want as cheaply as possible. Ironically, for a hobby in which each of us is very invested in ourselves as authors, many of us have allowed ourselves to see the content and products of others as commodities to be used, swapped, and traded however we see fit, with no regard at all to the author. We see ourselves as artists while at the same time treating the work of others with much less respect. I've even seen a painting studio create an album on Facebook of other painting studios' tutorial images while paying lip service to acknowledgement with a couple of names and others as the supposed credits, farming the attention others' work brings to increase engagement on their own page. We need to remember that the work we see, the work we buy, is the original and unique creative work of an individual, a real person, and remember to pay them the respect they are due. The work of others is not just fodder for us to consume, it is the expression of a unique human interior world. We need to give others the respect we would want given to us. Likely most of you listening to this would never dream of doing so, but we need to stand up and call it out when we see it. Tangential to this, but related, I think, is the time to end the anonymisation of modelers' work at model shows. I have judged at model shows like Scale Model Challenge, Mosen, World Model Expo, KMK, Scale Model World, BSMC, and many others, and previously I have been very subscribed to the idea that anonymisation is crucial to fairness in judging. But the fact is, we judges often know who made that model. We are part of the online community, and we see these works as they're made and finished. It's a fallacy to think that contests are anonymous, and moreover, if we respect and value these judges, we have to accept and value their objectivity. On the other hand, names allow visitors to the show to connect with the people that made the work. We could look them up and find and converse with them outside of the contest. I think this would add tremendous value to the hobby and our enjoyment. I'm not alone in this, it's not my idea. It's a point of view I have taken on board from Jim and Barry at Small Subjects, and Joan Biediger recently made an episode on her incredible podcast, Her Shrink Right Eye, all about this issue, and I strongly recommend it, and in fact both podcasts to all model philosophers out there. I would like to end this show with an apology for the long hiatus. My business, ITA3, has really taken off in 2025, and it's consuming all of my time. With that in mind, I would like to ask all the paid patrons to cancel your payments. You are more than welcome to stay on as free members, but as I can't guarantee output at the moment, I really don't want to be taking people's money and will fully self-fund the show going forward. Your support has always meant a lot to me, and I'm incredibly grateful for your generosity. But from now on, the only thing I will ask for is your time to listen. Before I go, I'd just like to talk to you about the Upturner Prize. This is the contest that I'm running with a number of others. You may remember it from our last episode. For artists in the scale model hobby who are really pushing the limits of what modelling, figure painting, and the other genres within our hobby do. So far, we've had some fantastic nominations. and I really would like to see some more. So please do head on over to upturnerprize.com, check out the nominee gallery for all the current nominations and their amazing work, and remember that nominations are still open. You can nominate by heading to the nominate page. Also, I have some incredible news to relate to people following the Upturner Prize. We now have the support of the Shep Payne Education Fund. The Education Fund supports artists and projects across scale modelling and does incredible work to promote this wonderful hobby that we all share. I'm really pleased to have the fund on board, not only for their contribution, but mostly for the association. It's really great to be associated with Shep Payne and with the fund. Thank you guys for coming on board. That's it for this episode. I really appreciate your listening. Please do come back soon for the next episode of The Model Philosopher. And until then, take care and enjoy your time at the workbench.